There comes a time in every believer's life when then the familiar path ends and uncertainty begins. You've sent out RAs, some A's. You've gone to interviews. You've waited by the phone, checked your email 100 times, and still no answer. You begin to wonder, God, where are you in all this? But I came to tell you today, stop searching for a job as if your life depends on it, and start seeking the plan God has already prepared for you. Because when God has written your story, no rejection can erase His promise, and no delay can cancel His purpose. When God closes certain doors, it is not an act of punishment, but an act of divine protection and redirection. Many times, we misinterpret closed doors as rejection, as if heaven has turned its face away from us. We cry, we question, and we wonder why the opportunities we hoped for slipped through our hands. But if you look closely, you'll realize that the same God who opens doors also closes them with purpose. Every door that shuts is a message that says, I have something better prepared for you. Sometimes, the very thing you are praying for could lead you into a place too small for your calling, and God, in His love, steps in to stop you from settling for less than what He designed for you. There are moments when you knock on a door with all your strength, but nothing happens. You apply, you plan, you prepare, and still nothing works. That's when God is whispering in silence, trust me, not the door. Because sometimes, if He allowed that door to open, it would distract you from the path that leads to destiny. Closed doors are often disguised blessings. They are God's way of protecting you from counterfeit opportunities that look appealing but carry hidden destruction. If every opportunity worked, you would never discover the power of His direction. If every door opened, you would never learn how to wait on His timing. Think about how Joseph's brothers threw him into a pit, sold him into slavery, and shut every door of comfort and safety in his life. To the natural eye, it looked like failure, but to God, it was a divine route to the palace. The closed door of family acceptance became the open door of kingdom influence. The rejection by people became redirection by heaven, In the same way, when God closes doors in your life, it's because He's leading you away from places that cannot hold your destiny. Sometimes the door you wanted to open would have led you to limitation. But God closes it so He can open one that leads to expansion. When a door closes, our first reaction is often frustration. We feel unqualified, unseen, forgotten. But God never closes a door without opening a better one in His time. The problem is, we often stand too long staring at the closed door, missing the one that's already opening beside us. Closed doors are not God's way of saying no forever, but not here, not this way. It's a shift in direction, not rejection. It's a pause to prepare you for the right opportunity. The disappointment you feel is temporary, but the purpose God is building through it is eternal. You might have lost a job, mister. When God makes you wait, it is never because He has forgotten you. The delay you are facing is not a denial of your destiny. It is divine preparation for it. Heaven is never in a hurry, but it is always on time. We live in a world that values speed, instant results, and quick answers, but God works on a different timetable. He uses time as a tool to shape character, to deepen faith, and to prepare hearts for the weight of what He has promised. What you call delay, Heaven calls development. You see the waiting as wasted, but God sees it as necessary. Before He gives you what you asked for, He ensures you are strong enough to handle it. When a seed is planted, it doesn't bear fruit the next day. It goes through a process underground where no one can see the growth. The roots must go deep before the fruit appears. In the same way, God uses seasons of delay to deepen your roots of faith, patience, and obedience. The hidden work He does in you during waiting seasons is what sustains the blessing when it finally comes. Many want the harvest, but are not ready for the process. They want the throne without the wilderness, the promise without the preparation. But God never promotes a person whose character cannot sustain the promotion. The delay is God's way of refining you, so that when the doors open, you walk through them with maturity and humility. Think about Abraham. who waited 5 years for the promise of a son. Think about David, anointed as king, but waiting years before sitting on the throne. Think about Joseph, who dreamed of greatness, but spent years in prisons and pits before reaching the palace. Every one of them experienced divine delay, yet not one of them was denied what God promised. That's the pattern of heaven. Before the manifestation, there is always maturation. Before fulfillment, there is formation. God takes time because what He's preparing in you must last beyond a moment. It must last a lifetime. Sometimes we become frustrated because we see others moving ahead while we seem to be standing still. But God's plan for your life is not based on someone else's pace. He custom designs your timeline according to your destiny. You might be delayed, but you're not denied. You might be overlooked by people, but not by God. What looks like a slow season is really a sacred season. Heaven uses waiting to build warriors, not quitters. Every unanswered prayer, every silent night, every season of uncertainty is a training ground for faith. It's where trust is tested and strength is born. When you understand that delay is divine, you stop complaining and start cooperating. You stop rushing and start resting, because the waiting room is not a punishment chamber, it's a preparation place. God uses delay to purify motives, to separate desire from distraction, to align your heart with His will. If He gave you everything too early, it would destroy what He wants to bless. The blessing is not just about receiving something. It's about becoming someone. The waiting shapes the person who can carry the promise with grace. Sometimes the delay you fear is the very thing preserving your destiny. If you received the opportunity before you were ready, it would crush you under its weight. God delays not because He's cruel, but because He's kind. He loves you too much to hand you something could pull you away from Him. So, while you think nothing is happening, heaven is orchestrating details, aligning people, preparing circumstances, and building strength within you. Divine delay is not divine distance. It's the slow and sacred work of a God who never wastes time. but always uses it to fulfill His perfect plan, there is a difference between employment and assignment. Employment is what you do for a living, but assignment is what you were created to do. One fills your time, the other fulfills your purpose. Many people chase jobs thinking they will find satisfaction in a salary. But true fulfillment doesn't come from a paycheck. It comes from purpose. God's desire is not merely to see you employed, but to see you deployed into the work. He designed you for before you were even born. That is why sometimes the job doors you want to open stay closed, because God is steering you towards something far greater than human employment. He is calling you into divine assignment. When you only focus on employment, your eyes are on what the world can give you. You measure success by promotions, positions, and paychecks. But when you shift to assignment, your focus moves to what God can do through you. You begin to realize that your life is not about climbing ladders, but about fulfilling purpose. Assignment is not limited to a workplace or a company. It flows from who you are in God. Wherever He places you, your purpose follows. You can be in an office, a classroom, a home, or even in a season of transition, and still be walking in divine assignment. The reason God sometimes removes certain jobs or opportunities is because they no longer align with the assignment He has placed on your life. You may feel like something has been taken from you, but in truth, something greater is being revealed to you. He is shifting your focus from occupation to vocation, from what you do to who you are called to be. When you belong to God, your work becomes worship. It's not about working for approval, but working from purpose. Your assignment carries eternal value, while your employment carries temporary reward. That is why God will never allow you to settle in a place that keeps you comfortable, but makes you forget your calling. Think of Moses. He was raised in Pharaoh's palace, a man of status and privilege. But that was not his assignment. His assignment was in the desert, leading God's people to freedom. Think of Peter, who was a fisherman by trade when Jesus called him. His net was replaced by a mission. to become a fisher of men. Paul was a scholar and a Pharisee. But when God touched him, his employment ended and his assignment began. Each of them left something behind because divine calling demanded a greater yes. In the same way, there comes a time when God interrupts your career plan to introduce His kingdom plan. Sometimes the struggle you face at work is not because you are failing, but because God is making you uncomfortable in a place you have outgrown. He is loosening your grip on employment so that you can reach for assignment. The dissatisfaction you feel may not be from frustration. It may be from divine agitation. God stirs your spirit so that you won't settle for less than what He designed you to do. When you understand this, you stop asking, "What job should I get?" and start asking, "Lord, what have you called me to do?" When you live by assignment, every task becomes meaningful. Even seasons of waiting become part of your preparation. God's assignment for you is not random. It is perfectly aligned with your gifts, experiences, and story. He equips you before He sends you, and every season of your life has been shaping you for the work He has prepared. Employment may sustain you for a while, but assignment sustains you for eternity. The peace that comes from walking in divine purpose cannot be replaced by any salary, and the joy that flows from fulfilling your calling cannot be bought by any company. God doesn't just want to make you successful. He wants to make you significant through the assignment He has placed on your life. When human opportunities end, that is often the very moment divine opportunities begin. God allows certain doors to close so that your eyes can turn from what is humanly possible to what is divinely prepared. We are often so focused on the systems and structures of this world that we forget heaven has its own way of working. When people say there's no position left, God says there's still purpose waiting. When people overlook you, heaven is preparing a place where you will be celebrated, not tolerated. Human opportunities are limited by resources, timing, and opinions. But divine opportunities are limitless, timeless, and unstoppable. There comes a point when everything you have tried seems to fall apart. Every contact you reached out to stops responding. Every plan you made crumbles. Every strategy fails, and it feels like you've hit a dead end. But what if that dead end is the exact place where God intends to reveal His glory? God waits until human help runs out, so that no one else can take credit for what He is about to do. When your strength is gone, His power begins. When your options are exhausted, His plan unfolds. Divine opportunity often begins at the point where human opportunity ends. In the natural, it may look like loss, but in the spiritual, it is divine exchange. When you lose what was built by human hands, you gain what was designed by the hand of God. Think of Ruth, who lost her husband and left her homeland. To everyone else, her story looked finished. But when human opportunities ended for her, God opened a new chapter that led her into the lineage of kings. Think of Esther, an orphan girl with no connections, no name, and no power, yet God positioned her in a palace for such a time as that. Divine opportunities do not need human approval. They need divine alignment. When God steps in, He does not need the endorsement of people to lift you up. He does not need permission to promote you. What takes years in human systems can happen in a moment in God's timing. Divine opportunity operates beyond logic and beyond limits. It bypasses your background, your RA, sum A, and your qualifications, because it flows directly from His purpose. That is why it's dangerous to measure your progress by what people can give you. When man stops giving, God starts multiplying. When human favor fades, divine favor takes over. Sometimes God will let certain people walk away so that you can walk into your next season without distraction. He will remove human opportunities, not because you failed, but because they have finished their assignment in your life. The people who once opened doors for you may no longer be there, but God Himself becomes your door. He said, "I am the door," meaning you no longer have to chase openings. He is the opening. What you thought was the end is often the beginning of a greater manifestation of His plan. When divine opportunity arrives, it will not require you to strive, it will flow naturally because it was designed for you. The peace that accompanies it will confirm it is from God. You will see how everything that seemed delayed was actually in preparation. Every rejection, every closed door, every silence was a setup for a supernatural opening. Human opportunities may end because they are seasonal, but divine opportunities are eternal. When the favor of God moves, no one can stop it. What once seemed impossible becomes inevitable because heaven has decided it is your time. You are not jobless. You are being positioned for destiny. What looks like a pause in your life is actually a divine rearrangement taking place behind the scenes. God never leaves His children idle. He positions them. When you think nothing is happening, heaven is orchestrating everything. You might not have the job you wanted, but you are standing right where God needs you to be. Sometimes God has to pull you out of the wrong place to plant you in the right one. The waiting season you are in is not a season of emptiness. It's a season of alignment. God is moving the pieces of your life into the exact position where His purpose can unfold in full power. Being positioned for destiny means you are being prepared for something beyond what your current circumstances suggest. You may not understand why doors have closed, why opportunities vanished, or why certain plans didn't work, but none of it is wasted. Every delay, every rejection, every disappointment is a tool in the hands of a wise God. When you belong to Him, even what feels like a setback becomes a setup for something greater. You are not being punished. You are being prepared. God is not withholding. He is arranging. And He will not place you until everything around you is ready to receive what He has deposited inside you. Think about Joseph in the Bible. He was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and imprisoned for crimes he didn't commit. To everyone else, his life looked like a story of failure and misfortune. But heaven saw positioning. The pit led to Egypt. Egypt led to prison. And prison led to the palace. Every step was a move closer to purpose. He wasn't being buried. He was being planted. And at the right time, what was hidden began to rise. That's how divine positioning works. Often looks like decline before it turns into destiny. God hides you in obscurity before He reveals you in authority. When you feel overlooked or forgotten, remember that positioning takes time. A sculptor never displays the statue until the last detail is refined. Likewise, God won't present you until the masterpiece is complete. You may see the waiting as stagnation, but God sees it as preparation. He is building endurance, humility, and faith in you so that when destiny unfolds, you can carry it with grace and stability. You can carry it with grace and stability. Many people want to be placed quickly, but quick placement without divine preparation can lead to premature collapse. That is why God takes His time. He's not just placing you, He's perfecting you for the place. Sometimes divine positioning feels uncomfortable. You may find yourself in environments that don't make sense, surrounded by people who don't understand you, working in roles that feel beneath you. Yet, those places are molding you. Every unseen lesson, every quiet struggle, every moment of surrender is shaping your spirit for what's coming. God will often allow temporary assignments to teach eternal truths. You might not see how it connects now, but one day you'll realize every small detail was necessary for the bigger picture. Nothing in your story is random. When you are positioned by God, timing becomes your ally, not your enemy. You don't have to chase opportunities. They will locate you. Destiny is not something you force. It's something you flow into. When the moment comes, the same God who positioned you will also promote you. The silence will break. The doors will open, and the pieces will align in ways you couldn't plan. All the waiting will make sense. Because while others saw you as jobless, heaven saw you as chosen. You were never stuck. You were stationed. You were never forgotten. You were being prepared for a divine unveiling. The right door will find you when your heart aligns with God's plan. You don't have to chase what God has already prepared for you. You just have to be in the right spiritual position to receive it. Many people spend their lives running after opportunities, striving to make things happen, and exhausting themselves trying to force doors open. When your heart is aligned with God's will, you won't need to force anything. His favor will open the right doors at the right time. Divine timing and alignment are the keys that unlock destiny. When your spirit is surrendered, your path becomes directed. When your motives are pure, heaven begins to move on your behalf in ways that human effort never could. Alignment is more than prayer, it's posture. It means living in tune with God's voice, trusting His process even when it's silent, and obeying even when it's inconvenient. There are seasons when God hides the next step so that you learn to walk by faith, not by sight. That faith keeps your heart anchored to His timing. The right door will never require compromise. Won't demand that you lower your values or abandon your peace. It will fit your purpose, not your pressure. The wrong doors look appealing because they offer quick results, but the right door comes with lasting fulfillment. And the beauty of divine alignment is that you won't have to knock endlessly. God will cause the right door to swing open when your heart is ready to walk through it. When your heart is not aligned with God's plan, even open doors can become distractions. You might walk into opportunities that look good, but are not good for you. That's why God sometimes allows doors to stay closed, not because He's withholding blessings, but because He's protecting you from burdens disguised as blessings. He waits until your desires match His design. Once your heart beats in rhythm with His, everything begins to flow naturally. You'll start to see how He orchestrates connections, places you in the right environments, and arranges circumstances that lead you straight into His will. You won't need to manipulate outcomes because what's meant for you cannot miss you when you are aligned with Him. There's a peace that comes with alignment, a quiet assurance that you are where God wants you to be, even if the doors haven't opened yet. You don't have to compete, compare, or chase what others have. You just have to remain faithful in the place God has planted you. The same God who opened the Red Sea for Moses, who opened prison doors for Peter, and who opened barren wombs for Sarah will open the right door for you, but he will do it in his time, not yours. And when that door opens, no man can shut it. You won't have to question it or fight to keep it open. It will stay open because it was established by his hand. Your responsibility is to stay in alignment, to keep your heart pure, your faith steady, and your obedience consistent. When your heart aligns with God's plan, your life stops revolving around worry and starts revolving around worship. You begin to understand that you are not waiting for the right door. The right door is waiting for the right version of you. Every trial, every waiting season, every lesson is shaping you into the person who can handle the blessing. God doesn't just open doors for the ready. He opens them for the refined. So don't be discouraged by the delay. Stay faithful, stay expectant, and stay aligned. The right door is already in place. It's moving toward you as you move toward God. And when it finally opens, it will not only change your path, it will confirm that every closed door before it was necessary, because what God opens, no man can shut, and what he has prepared will always find the one who is aligned with his will.